What's going on, everybody? Hope you are having a wonderful week so far. Podcast time. Nicole Moudaber really doesn't need much introduction. Let's be honest. She has been in this game for a very long time, been a successful touring artist for the last 12 years. Before that, promoter, has had gone through a lot in her life, let's put it that way. Has experienced a lot of different situations, a lot of situations that a lot of us will never experience, hopefully. And she is just an absolute trailblazer in this industry and just keeps pushing forward and keeps working hard and keeps reinventing herself and just being at the forefront of the scene of DJ producers that we know it in the house and techno genre. She's been running her radio show for 10 years. It's just there's just a level of grit that she has that I don't think many other people have in this industry. And it's just so amazing to kind of watch from an outside. I've been fortunate enough to get to know Nicole over the last couple of years. I was very fortunate to be asked to remix one of her records a couple of years ago. And we've seen each other throughout the years, from playing shows and bumping into each other at festivals and talking on text and having a few conversations here or there. And I really, really have wanted to get her on for a very long time. And it's been tough. She's a busy lady, but it's finally happened. And this podcast is an amazing one. It's probably one of my favorite ones I've done in a very long time. We talk a lot about the industry, talk a lot about the past, but also like really get to know Nicole more than what we see on social media. We have, especially towards the end of the podcast, we get into some really deep conversations. And she talks about some hobbies, a race driver that we didn't know. She's also in the process of writing a book that I didn't know and I do now. This podcast was amazing. So I'm going to shut up and let you listen. So without further ado, Nicole Moudaber. Miss Nicole Moudaber, how
Hi.
are you doing?
How are you?
I'm really good. I'm doing a batch of podcasts today. So you're the last one of the day. I'm 3 podcasts in. So
Wow, you do them in batches.
yeah,
Clever.
I can't physically not, because I think I used to do like one each week, but you know how it is. Like you do it with your radio show. Like it's just so consistent.
I know. Yeah.
How many years have you been doing the radio show?
10. This year is 10
Fuck.
years. 10
Fuck.
years, babe.
Is it
That's a
weekly?
big commitment.
Is it weekly?
Weekly. Weekly. Yeah. You know, the first few years, it was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But now, just it becomes like second nature. It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of
I'm
the life,
actually
right?
enjoying doing the studio mixes because, I do a lot of live recordings. I mean, I record all my shows and I
Do you?
put out some of the live recordings. But when I do the studio mixes, that's when I take it a bit more seriously as such because, there's so much great music out there
Yeah.
and you got to pick the good ones and sometimes I play stuff that I don't normally play out. And this is what I love the most about this show because it gives you that opportunity to play the stuff that you don't normally play in a
Yeah.
festival or a club, so it's a
I think
great
also
creative outlet.
where you're at in your career, like you're pretty much always headlining, right? Like it's always a headline, unless let's say for instance like you're on tour with Carl, right? And unless you're doing a back to back with Carl, like it always feels like you're headlining, which I don't know how you kind of plan your sets, but when you're always headlining, there's almost like a pressure of the headline DJ show has to be like to a certain level. Whereas like when you're doing a warm up, you can kind of get away with playing a bit more eclectic stuff and things like that. Does it really affect you, like always being that headliner?
In the past, it used to be a bit more stressful, but not recently. You know what is mostly stressful? Is the warm up set.
Wow.
That is the most stressful. For me, anyway, because, when I first started, I was warming up for the big boys and the big
Yeah.
cats out there. And that is the hardest part to do because I like to first respect the headliner. And so it makes you think, how am I going to do the set without trespassing what he's about to take afterwards? So
Yeah.
it made me think a lot. And I think that is the basis of my long sets. When I play 10 and 14 hours, let's say, having done that taught me how to build a set in order to get to the culmination, as we would say, to get to the meat or whatever. But building a set is the most difficult. Like a warm-up set is the most difficult set out there, and I don't see a lot of people doing that these days. They just come, like, bang it out
Yeah.
and leave without any. Maybe because I still think as a promoter, because the way I used to program my nights was, DJ 1, DJ 2, DJ 3, based on their style of music and how to build the night musically. So it's kind of stamped in my head how to build a set, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this is a key element to any DJ that is supposed to do a long set, for example.
I totally agree. But I also, obviously, without aging both of us, like we come from a time that it was about the music on the night. It wasn't necessarily about the DJ.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think you've more so than me, like you've seen it massively change over the years. Like I've seen it change, but I think where you've been at such a high level in your career for such a long time, how's the change in that where like DJs become rock stars realistically? Like the DJ was always the person in the corner playing records all night and no one really paid attention. Whereas now it's like taking photos of the DJs, videoing the DJs, like everyone looking at the DJ being on high platforms, production around the DJ. Like how is that? How do you feel about that?
For me personally, because I'm very self-conscious, I don't like it very much. I
Yeah.
don't like the attention and the bright lights and people looking at me and all of that. So, however, when I started DJing, which is about 12 years ago, maybe,
Yeah.
it was at the time where the DJs were becoming superstar DJs.
Yeah.
It started, I think, when Ministry of Sound started putting the images of the DJs on their compilation,
Yeah.
with Tenaglia, Sasha, all the Global Underground series. I think that's where it started becoming that star status.
Yeah.
And now with social media, it's like all about content. and
Yeah.
it's not about music anymore, which is alarming and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's all about content, basically.
But it's
Uh,
really interesting you say that, because your social media does really well.
yes, but I'm not the type of person that holds the camera all day and do that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
that kind of person. So
No.
I try as much as I can to show what happens when I play. But
Mm.
to be fair, I should be doing 10 times more than I'm doing right now. And I
See, I
don't,
disagree.
because I
This,
can't be bothered.
but I think
I,
this
I,
is
I'm,
this.
I'm still in the optic that music speaks. I'm still
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
world. You know, I haven't crossed that world yet. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
But I don't know, because I think where I sit from as a fan of you and listening to watching you on social media, like it feels so authentically you. Like I know you reasonably, I know you okay-ish. Like we've never like fully spent loads of time together. We've had some good, really good conversations over the years, but like I don't know you personally as like you're my best friend. But
Yeah.
like the way I perceive your social media is it's so authentically you. Like it's literally
Yeah.
you. And I think
Yeah.
if you came on and was like talking to the camera and like trying to be that social media person, like that would feel weird. And I
Like
think
me
there's like a
talking to you
level.
right now.
No. But I think like if you're trying to be that social media person, right? Like I don't think it works, because it just, I think people can see through it. Like some of the stuff that like my team get me to do, I know that it's not going to do well, because I'm like, guys, this doesn't authentically feel like me, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of just authenticity that needs to happen in this industry, and I think from
Oh, yeah.
you may completely disagree with me, but from an outsider's looking into your career, it feels so authentic what
Thank
you
you.
do.
Thank you. This makes me happy.
But like,
Even if I tried to do what everyone does, it will it will look fake. You
yeah,
know.
exactly.
You,
That's my point.
I can't. Yeah, it's not me. So
So I guess realistically, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I was actually blown away the fact that you don't listen to music on Spotify.
yeah, I don't.
I was amazed, because like I don't really come across many people that just doesn't do that. And
I
you
guess it's
mentioned like
what I was used to from the beginning. I mean, YouTube is my go-to. I never gave attention to Spotify. It was like an additional thing from what was out there already that was giving me what I wanted. And you find everything on YouTube. So I just didn't bother to log into that extra thing that is out there. And I don't think I ever will, to be honest.
so
If I
special.
want to
It's
search for something, I know where to look for it and I get
yeah.
it, you know, and music gets to me from every angle. And if I want to look for a specific thing, I have different platforms to uh, to look for that, you know. So I know a lot of promoters and people like go to Spotify and do that, but maybe because I was doing this before Spotify came on board,
Yeah.
and I have my own technique to listen to music.
I think it's also, there comes a point promoters look at Spotify streams when they don't necessarily know the value of the artist, right?
Which is total bullshit because you know, First of all, Spotify doesn't pay the artist anything. So it's
Yeah.
like money down the drain. But I get it. Somebody that wants to listen to music has Spotify as a go to. A lot of people also listen to music on SoundCloud, for example. And SoundCloud has been before Spotify,
Yeah.
way
Way
before.
before.
And people are still on SoundCloud. And it gives the algorithm on SoundCloud is incredible.
Is
It
it?
just recommends and filters through way better than Spotify, I think. And you can
Yeah.
discover a lot of gems on that platform. So I guess each to their own. I don't know.
Whatever works, right? Whatever
Yeah,
works. There's no right or wrong. I was just absolutely amazed when, like, hearing somebody that's like where you're at in the scene to not care about Spotify in the slightest. Like,
I don't.
genuinely, like,
I only started caring about it a year ago, to be specific, really. Because I kept hearing people
yeah.
like, "Oh, the numbers on Spotify is this, and the number." I was like, "What are you talking about? Like what?" So
I love that.
yeah, yeah, not my thing. I have to say, you have everything on YouTube, even like old classics from the early 90s, gems you would never find on Spotify that you find on
100%.
YouTube. So it's much
Yeah.
more uh, authentic and credible, and more like an encyclopedia of digging for gems that you will never find elsewhere. So that's why it's my go-to place. I mean, you'd find these
I love that.
obscure records that are incredible on YouTube from the early 90s that you will never find on Spotify nor SoundCloud. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
these are like
Totally.
built with fans that upload them from years ago and they're still there. You just have to find them, you
The
know.
amount of vinyl rips that are on YouTube that, like, you can't even
There
get
you go.
nowadays.
There
Like,
you go. Like I've got tons of vinyl here, and I bet you all of them are on YouTube, and none
yeah.
of them are on Spotify. So you
I
know,
love that. I love that.
you know,
Especially in a world in our scene, like, it is about finding music that nobody knows. It is about kind of crate digging, right? It is about, like, okay, no,
yes,
like, this record's not, I'm not going to share this record with anyone for at least a
yes,
year because it's so
yes,
fucking good. I just want it for myself.
totally. But
Do you think that's
you have
gone?
to
Do you
be
think that's
knowledgeable
changed?
and wanting to dig to
Yeah.
be able to get to these records. Otherwise, it's gonna be what you find on the main page,
Yeah.
and it's got all the major labels behind it, and it's so commercial, and it's like a supermarket. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like going into, I don't know, Christie's and finding the credible art piece that is nobody can get hold of. But
Yeah.
it's like going into Tesco's. Basically.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and I've never looked at. I think the thing that the thing that's kind of really happened for me in the streaming era, since it's became more of a streaming era of where we live in our scene, I've stopped digging generally. Like,
You know
I
what? I came back to digging recently. I'm like
really,
obsessed with it now.
oh, I
Eh,
need to get back into
It's a
it.
phase. It's a phase. Don't push it. It's a phase.
Yeah, because I played a bit of a longer set the other day. I played like 4 hours in San Diego, which was really nice. But, like, I got to I I always tour with, like, all of my records from, like, probably from 20. I have records going back from like 2010 on my USBs. And
Wow.
when I get to play like longer sets, I like to go into like 2013 and just go like, okay, what can I pull out of this era? And I think, well, actually, there's so much good music that was released that never saw the light of day, never ever 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 saw the light of day. And we're
Yeah.
now still trying to, like, there's almost enough music for us to do what we need to do for the next 20 odd years for then to be no music to be released. And I think sometimes we live in a scene where we always are looking back at like music, but yet it feels like everyone's just trying to remake what was made before rather than just go back and play what was made before.
Like, what are we doing? You know,
Yeah.
you can't come up with an original record anymore. What's going on? Like, where's the meat? Like, where is the underground? Where is the clever? Where are the clever records? Where are the interesting sounds? Where is all this gone? I don't know. It's time to get back to this, I think.
I agree, but I also think it's there. I think
It is
it
there,
is
it's there,
there.
but the masses don't have access to
Totally.
that. With
Totally.
clubs being shut down, I don't know if you heard. I mean, I saw this recently. Like most of the clubs in the UK have shut down now
Yeah.
or on the way out. So you're left with all the big festivals that are mostly commercial. And I mean, this is where we used to find those interesting records is in the clubs
Yeah, 100%.
that no one knows. And then you go the next day digging. Where can I hear this? Where can I buy it? What is that?
Yeah.
You don't have this anymore, I don't think.
But I think also the DJ as a quintessential job has changed, where the DJs are the rock stars, in a sense of, because it's all big shows, right? Because it's not 200 cap venues, it's not 300 cap venues, it's 500 to 10,000 cap, right? Like that's kind of where we're at in this world. Maybe even like 700 to like 10,000. And that DJ that's playing that one time has one moment to capture everybody's attention. And because we want everyone's attention, which I think is an amazing thing, is like, as a DJ, you can purely build your own career off social media now. It's amazing, right? It is genuinely amazing. But does that mean that the quality of DJing and the quality of music just dims down to a point of where we're at now, where it's remake on remake on remake?
Not all the artists are about that. I don't think all the artists are about that. And I think it could be just a phase that one day people are gonna
Agreed.
snap out of it when someone is gonna do something different with it, and
Yeah.
then people follow. Normally people always follow.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to Carl Cox the other day, and we were talking about the same thing actually, and he is adamant not to follow this trend.
Yeah.
He can get away with it. He can do whatever
Of
he
course.
wants, and he can set the trend also. And it's amazing to see that there are people like that are not gonna follow this trend. I'm not saying it is wrong. I'm saying this is where we are. How can we go from there?
Yeah.
How can you stick to your guns without compromising too much? How can you be authentic without compromising too much, and be unique without compromising too much? It's down to how you do it, I guess.
Yeah, I genuinely also feel really sorry for anybody new coming through, because
It's
what do they
tough.
see? Yeah, it's really hard. It was hard beforehand, right? 12 years ago when you started playing, it was hard then, right?
It was the hardest, actually.
Yeah.
Social media
So take,
hasn't blown up so much. I was a woman,
yeah.
and in the sea of men, and And I managed to, break that ceiling back then.
And there wasn't
So,
many women back then doing it.
no,
Really
although I have to
wasn't.
give credit to the women that came before me, like
100%.
Mistress Barbara, like Smoking Joe,
Smoking Joe. Oh my God.
you
I've
know,
got a story about Smoking Joe. I used to work at,
like DJ Paulette, like
oh
the,
yeah.
the list goes on. Like they were the ones that really paved the way, you know, to all of us, really.
Yeah.
So I have to give credit
So
to
take me back
those
to then.
incredible
I don't
women.
know much about the early days of Nicole. How does that look? Where in the world are you? How does that start?
Mamma mia.
I love it.
I don't know how it started, babe. I don't know. I mean, I'm unlike any other person. I was a promoter
Yeah.
before becoming an artist. I promoted parties. I started promoting parties in Beirut after the war. Then I came to London and I had my night called Soundworks, and I did that for 6 years, every month at Turnmills. So I was a promoter. I was launching and booking DJs from all over the world. Paco Osuna was one of them. I gave him his first ever London show when I was a promoter back then. Um, so that was my passion. Then I stopped all that and I went to Ibiza. I bought a house in 2003 and I stopped promoting in 2004, 5, because I wanted to focus on that project. It was a massive refurb project. And after I finished this one, I decided to get back into the music, but not as a promoter. I just wanted to make music.
Yeah.
So I went into the studio and I started making music. I didn't know he was gonna take me anywhere. I just did it because I was passionate about it. I wanted to create this music that made me feel things on the dance floor and recreate these moments. And in 2009, Cox picked up one of my records, started playing it on his radio shows. John Digweed, Steve Lawler picked up on me and started supporting me, all of these guys. And in 2012, I won my first award. And I'm
What was
like,
that? What
what
award
is
was
going
that?
on? What? It
What
was
award was
then that
that?
I took the whole thing seriously.
What award was that?
That was the IDMA award, my
Yeah.
remix for Chemistry by Cal
Yeah.
Cox. The second award was my remix of Alcatraz,
Yeah.
Plastic Dreams. And I still have the, sorry, Alcatraz, Give Me Love. And from that point, this everything blew up, basically. So
I
here I
love
am
that.
today.
Here you are. Um,
Yeah.
from being a promoter in the early 2000s to working with promoters now, what can promoters now learn from promoters back in the early 2000s?
It was a different time, babe. It
Yeah.
was a different time. And I think the scene was smaller also in a way. There were a few promoters doing it at the
Yeah.
time. Um, like in New York, Rob Fernandez, Dance Here Now, Nick Matar.
Yeah.
This is where I started, and these are my core family. It started in 2011 when I first played Governor's Island with Rob Fernandez, and I was warming up for Victor Calderon, for example.
Yeah. Legend. Absolute
During
legend.
the Miami conference, it was also Dance Here Now, and I opened for Danny Tenaglia when, that whole scene was massive at the time. DJs used to break records. It was a different time. Now you just feel it's gone very corporate and a bit cold, and it's like a sea of artists and talent, promoters, the conglomerates, the mid-size. It's changed. I can't tell the promoter what to do. It's just a lot of competition these
Yeah.
days. However, I think we need to go back to the medium and smaller size parties to support the up and coming artists, and to support small businesses and smaller clubs. I don't know, the scene has changed. I think it's all also down to one-to-one networking and understanding what the market wants and how to navigate it.
I
It's
think that's the
just
hard
so,
thing, though. I think that's the
yeah,
hard thing with
to get to
not
them.
not having the small clubs, not
Not
having
having the
this
small clubs is a problem.
the local scenes, and not having the like local promoters in each city that isn't being taken over by a massive corporation. It's so hard to go and be a new artist and really just like build a following in that city, in that scene, and test out your new records. And because a lot of the time some people's first plays are like in front of thousands of people at a festival, and you're like, how can you even learn to be a DJ in that situation? You can't, because it's like the art of DJing isn't about playing the Beatport top 10. And as much as I love where the scene is, there are, and I it's very easy for us to sound like old people, right, and moaning about where we're at, but realistically we're both very fortunate of where we're at in the scene, right? Like very fucking fortunate.
Fortunate to have experienced the real thing, I think.
Yeah.
That's what we are the most fortunate with, also.
Yeah.
But how do you tell the up and coming person to stand out these days? Here we are. I guess social
Yeah.
media and a good record out and some knowledge of the music, you can make it.
Does a good record stand out nowadays, though?
If it's commercial and if it's a remake of something, possibly yes.
Oh yeah, it's very
Possibly yes.
interesting. It's really interesting how because there's also the outliers, right? There's the outliers in this scene that are releasing original music that are having extreme success. But I think there's always outliers. It feels like where we're at now is we're at the EDM stage now. It's like where EDM happened 10 years ago. It feels like we're kind of there again.
It's just a
Which,
feeling. It's just a
yeah,
feeling.
it will
It's a
change.
feeling.
It will
It will
change.
change. It
I
will
want to talk
change.
about I want to talk about your Burning Man experience.
Oh my God. Honestly, I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it. I don't know why I resisted all this time. I mean, I know why I resisted, but I loved it. I was surrounded with the best group of people.
Yeah.
Carl and his team and all their friends, 150 people of them in one camp. The best vibe ever. It threw me back to how it all began.
Mm.
The love, the care, the hugs, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And the magnitude and the work put behind such an event is just impressive. In the middle of nowhere, you have a whole city being built, if you want. And the dust after 5 days kind of got to my hair. It was like this.
Yeah.
But I played a show. I just did two sets actually, one back to back with Carl and a solo on their Techno Tuesday stage.
Mm.
And I have to say, it was like a magnificent experience for me.
I
A,
love that.
because I didn't have my gear and I had to go back to the sticks and doing all the mixing back to basic style, which I really enjoyed. Probably toying with the idea to getting back to that again.
Do
And
it.
the vibe of the people, I there are no words to explain it unless you go and experience it yourself. I'm sure you've heard
Mm.
a lot about it before, but until you are there, you're not going to be able to understand how incredible it is. And I met a lot of amazing people, and the amount of dress ups and costumes and the art pieces that are out there, the effort that is done to put this
Yeah.
thing together is mind blowing. Really.
Yeah. I've never
I'm
been,
definitely
and
going back again next year.
you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've toyed with it over the years, but for me, I just cannot stand sand. Like sand and dust is like literally my worst nightmare.
I
And
couldn't stand the camping side of it.
you had an RV. Come on, don't lie.
I know. And still I found ways to moan about it, but yeah.
Was it hot? Was it like really hot out there?
It was really hot during the day and
Yeah.
freezing cold at night. Yeah.
Classic desert.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to go, but I almost want to go for like a day, like 24 hours, just go
You
in
can.
and leave.
You
Yeah.
can. You can. I have to be honest. I arrived on the Monday. By Wednesday, I was like, okay, right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I need to get out of here. But then I kind of rolled into it. And
How long were
I
you
think
there? Were
Monday
you
to
there the whole
Saturday
time?
is enough. Is enough.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Monday to
Yeah.
Saturday. That's a
Is a
shift.
good amount of time.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
had the best shower when I got back. I was like luxuriating in water.
It's the best. I grew up going to Glastonbury Festival. I live like 15 minutes away from the festival. So dad and I used to go when I was young. My dad used to take me, and it was always that because it's a camping festival. You camp for 4 nights, and you like wash with like wet wipes, and the like when you get home, that like 20-minute shower is just absolutely heaven.
Then it makes you appreciate the little basic things that we
Yeah,
live with and makes you think about people who don't have
right.
the water and the electricity. It makes you think about these things. And yeah, it's a great experience.
What was it like growing up in Beirut?
Tumultuous. I grew up a lot in Nigeria. That's where I was born. Um, then came back to Beirut. Then the war erupted.
Yeah.
So it was very tumultuous and disruptive. We were on the move the whole time, evading bombs and moving schools from Nigeria to Lebanon, back and forth. And we still made the best out of it, you
Of
know.
course. Of course.
We got used to the bombs and we got used to the war life at the time. Um, Once the bombs stopped, we were like, right, where's the party now? Where are we going?
It's
let's
so
let's
crazy to me because, like, I'm very fortunate. I've never been in that situation
A
before,
lot
right?
of
I'm
people
very
would never
fortunate.
understand that. Yes.
No, and I think you see it with what's going on with today, and I don't really want to go in too much depth of what's going on in the world, but because this is supposed to be a bit more of a positive podcast, but I think it's really interesting to see how in the dark depths of what human beings can put on other human beings,
You have no idea.
how no, no, like, but also then how much human beings can adapt to their situation and go, let's fucking party.
Human beings can adapt. The intelligent ones can adapt. I think if you resist too much, you're going to be miserable all your life.
Yeah,
The key is to adapt. And I have to give props to the Lebanese people. 30 years of war, and we are still dusting off and looking ahead,
yeah.
rebuilding and moving forward.
How did that how has that shaped you to who you are as a human being though? Because I think it's very easy in this world, especially in the scene that we're in, that like lots of things can be issues, but realistically, in the grand scheme of things, they're not bigger issues, right? It's like we've got a roof over our heads, we've got this. We're very fortunate where we're at. But like, how does like growing up with a childhood and in a teenagehood and an adulthood like that, like how does that change your view on life?
I can only talk about myself.
Yeah,
It made me a bit jaded about so many things. You know. Um, I see it in my racing days. It's like when I'm in this car and I go super really fast that even my coach is shitting bricks. But what goes on in my head is like, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
yeah,
So maybe this comes from being that kamikaze. Like I don't give a shit about anything, really. You tend to learn to face death on a daily basis, that you stop caring anymore. In a way,
yeah,
subconsciously, you know. But it also makes you care a lot about others. It makes you feel a lot with people. It just puts things into perspective a lot more at a young age about life in
yeah,
general.
yeah. I couldn't even imagine. Like, obviously, we've all had death around us, right? But I think the war is another level of death that I don't think most people are ever gonna experience, and I don't think they
I
should
hope
experience.
not.
If I'm honest, yeah, of
You
course,
wouldn't wish it to anyone, really.
No.
No.
Do
But,
these things? Do these things?
COVID was a similar, apart from the bombs falling on you, COVID was, for me anyway, was a similar feeling to war that I have experienced. It's
Interesting.
when everything stops
Yeah.
and there's no future or immediate future in the horizon and everything is on pause. It actually threw me back to those days when COVID happened. For me, because I
Wow.
experienced
Yeah.
war in the past, and I felt COVID was another form of war to me.
How do, does it affect your daily? I kind of asked this question, but I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper. But like, does it ever affect you daily? Of like how what you've been through in that sense? Like, does it ever come back to you? Does it? Do you ever struggle with that? How do you come through that side?
What exactly you're asking? Which point?
I guess for me is like we all have memories, right, of certain things that's happened in our lives.
Yeah,
We've all experienced things,
if
some
it
more than
comes back to
others.
me,
Yeah, how do you kind of work through that?
people forget. People adapt and forget after a while. It took me, when it takes time to get back into the groove of life. Once you dip, generally speaking, once you dip, the only way is up again. And
Yeah,
once you're up, you're on a roll and you tend to forget what happened. So
yeah.
maybe for a short period of time, but you tend to forget. So you just move on. You move on.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I want to. You mentioned about your racing days, and I want to dig into this. What the hell is? Please explain.
What? What do you want me to explain?
I want to know everything. I didn't know you were a race driver.
As a hobby, yeah, that's my biggest hobby.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me
Um,
about it.
I
What do you
have
drive?
racers, friends of mine, very dear friends, that put me onto this back in 2016. They made me take my test, get my license, my racing license. I did it here in Brands Hatch, and ever since I go with them racing whenever I have the time,
That's so cool.
and it's beyond cool. And it's the best adrenaline you can ever experience.
I
It
can imagine.
tops anything out there, and you learn the skills. I love driving ever since I was a kid. I used to love driving. So once I got on the wheels, it was like, yeah, baby, where were you all my life? Especially driving the supercars. So,
What type of
yeah,
cars are you racing?
the GT3 supercars. I drove the R8. I drove the SLS Mercedes. I drove the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And recently in Barbados, I drove the Radical. And that was like a nothing like it. There's no
Who makes that? I've never
traction
heard of the
control,
Radical.
no nothing. Like it's just raw.
Radical car. Who
The
makes that?
Radical.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Whoa, it looks
Yeah,
amazing.
it's like wow. Yeah,
Hand built in
pretty
the
raw.
UK.
No, I did that in Barbados early on this year. That
Okay,
was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
that looks
I was
fucking
planning to do
quick.
one this year, but we couldn't find a track in Europe. So I'm planning maybe when I head over to the States in November to do one in Miami. provided we don't get hit by the hurricane that is
Jesus Christ,
currently
so ridiculous.
currently
One of
in
my
motion.
friends just bought a house in Tampa like 3 months ago, and they've had one hurricane, and now they're about to get another. I'm just like, dude,
Now, yeah, Milton is
why?
about to hit. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's crazy. Do you drive in the UK? Like, do you have a car here?
I don't. I drive in the States more. I
Yeah,
don't drive in the UK because I'm
you're
hardly
in
here.
London.
I'm
Yeah,
hardly here. I'm either in the studio 2 or 3 days a week, and then I'm out in the weekend. That's my
yeah,
hub in London. But once I'm out, then the fun begins for me.
yeah.
You know.
How do you like manage your schedule? Like when it comes to touring, taking time off, etc.
Um, I don't take a lot of time off. This year, I took some time off because I'm writing a book, I'm doing more music, and I'm actually gonna head over to Bali, which I do every year, to take my real time off,
Yeah.
all of Feb into March. But I don't really take a lot of time off. I should. Once winter hits in Europe, that's when I exit and I follow the sun. And that's where the
So
fun
soon.
begins. Yeah.
What is it with DJs and struggling to take time off? What is it? Because it's the same for me. I never take time off.
Yeah,
It's only since I've had a girlfriend in the last year that I've like almost been forced to take time out.
there you go. I don't know. We are workaholics. We are obsessive people. And we think that we don't deserve time off, maybe.
One hundred
I don't
percent.
know. Or we're
One
wasting
hundred percent.
time with time off. It's in the head.
Yeah,
But
I feel
more and
lazy.
more, I think we should take time off. It's essential.
Life's. I think the thing is because we love what we do so much, it's easy to
Yeah.
just to do it, right? Oh, here's
Yeah.
a offer in Miami. Here's an offer here. Yeah, fuck it. I was supposed to have
Yeah.
the
You're
weekend
not
off, but
going to
let's
say,
fucking
no,
go.
yeah, fuck it. I'm going to go to Miami. Then I get to go to the beach and, sit naked in the sun or something.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a weird. We work in a weird industry where obviously we love it, but it's also so draining at the same time because it's
Yeah.
always
We
on.
need
It's
to find
always
a
on.
balance. I think after a while of touring, many years of touring, after a while, you start thinking about your body and your sanity and to release the obsession, release the shackles.
It's so hard. It's
I
so
know.
hard. Like I wish I could learn how to do it. Like I will. I will one day.
I think you will for sure. We
I
all do.
will.
We all
Yeah, at
do.
some point. I will, can we talk about this book? Like you just dropped a bomb in that you're writing a book. It's not a
I'm
small
writing
thing
a
in the
book.
world.
Mamma mia, it's been such an introspective experience for me, and I had to also jog my memory because I forgot a lot of things. But this book is deep. It's deep, um, quite revealing. Sometimes I get scared to reveal so much about me because I don't like that. But I'm hoping it's going to inspire people not to give up and to persevere, um, even with the hundreds of obstacles that come in your way. You just gotta get over them and get on with it. Um, it hasn't been an easy one for me, but I don't think it's been easy for anybody
Yeah.
generally in many aspects of their lives. So I think it's going to be very relatable. And I hope people can get some feelings out of it.
What was the thought process of even going, I want to write a book?
I guess every person would want to do that at some point. If they have something to say, obviously. And I think I have a lot to say. Um, I don't know. It just compelled me to do this. Not everyone has to write a book, and
Yeah.
people will not. Maybe people are not going to be interested in my book. Who knows? Maybe it's too self-conceited also to write a book. I don't know, but this is a feeling, and I feel like I want to tell my story because I feel that a lot of people don't know who I am and what I have overcome
Of course. Yeah.
in my life. And maybe this could be interesting to some people out there.
I totally agree. And I think as people in the public eye, everyone has their perception of that person, right? Everyone has a perception of who Nicole is. Everyone has a perception of who Will is, right?
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think we're also human beings, and I don't want to make this sound like we're more than human beings or people think of us more than human beings, but we also have lives outside of everything we do. And although we share a lot on social media, we're probably only sharing 5% of what actually happens in our lives.
I was going to say 20%, but
Yeah.
5% is probably correct. Yeah.
Well, because I think, like, realistically, like, I know you have a tight family knit, right? Like, I know you speak to your siblings and your family on a regular basis. I know you have that. That doesn't ever get spoken about in general public. Never, right? Like, every family has issues. Like, before we had this conversation, I had my sister on the phone dealing with some issues, if you know what I mean. We don't ever talk about these things because no one really gives a
We
fuck,
never
right?
talk about it. And somehow we are a bit scared to talk about it because if you voice an opinion about anything, whether it's political, social, economical, psychological, even if one comment that you read telling you that stick to music, you don't have to give your opinion about anything,
Yep.
can probably hold you back from saying whatever you wanted to say.
Totally.
So I think writing a book is going to appeal to people who are interested in you and
Yeah.
maybe appeal to people who don't know anything about you and who want to know more about you. Um, and we all have issues, we all have problems, we all have depression, we all struggle, and you don't show this in social media. So,
100%.
in the hope that it's going to help people along the way, I think it could be useful. Maybe, I don't know.
Have you ever done therapy?
Not really. I
Yeah.
did 3 sessions of therapy once, and that was it. And I think I need it for sure. I
And
think everyone
this
needs
was,
it.
I
Everyone needs
agree.
it.
I agree. My parents are therapists. I grew up with therapy my whole life, and I
Oof,
agree that
you're lucky.
yeah, pros and cons, right? You're lucky,
My
but also
sister
not.
became a therapist recently, so I get it.
Yeah.
And you can talk to them, and it helps. It really therapy is just talking, really talking,
Yeah.
and having somebody listening to you without judging. I think this is the key to healing. Maybe writing a book is my way of therapy also, because
I
it's
was
not going to
literally
apply to me,
I was
basically.
literally circling a background to that kind of sense of like, okay, does it feel like therapy?
It
Putting
does.
those words down on that paper, does it feel like it? And Do you
100% it does.
have you grown as a human being in yourself whilst writing that process?
100%. 100%. And it was poignant because, sometimes we tend to suppress and forget about things, and these things come out, and you have to face them again. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. But yeah, let's not talk about this too much because it might get me into a stage of like so serious. Like we don't want that.
I'm cool to go serious because I think I think people like it. I think it's what we spoke about just a second ago. Is like people don't really know us, if you know what I mean. We only give a
Yeah.
certain amount to people, and I think so. Our without, and this is not coming from an egotistical way. This is not coming from an arrogant way. What we do every weekend helps people, right? It helps us and it helps people. Like I never forget like going to a rave as a kid, like my dad taking me to my first rave, like that helped me so much as a human being. Like it can bring tears to my eyes, like the memories of what I have then. And to think that we're doing that on a weekendly basis, helping people to kind of do that. And you get it, like you get the DMs of going, that record or your set or this radio show or your social media post like helped me get through the day. And I think by reading that, although it's like really powerful to read that as a human being and as an artist and knowing that our art can do that and help people, there's also a point where we're also human beings and we also need that back. And you don't get it from
100%.
this industry.
Oh no, you don't get it from the industry as such, but you do get it from the fans.
Yeah.
You do get, them to fill that hole that you have up to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
So, but then when you go back to your hotel room or being alone again, you're on such a high and then you just drop again, right?
Crash. Yeah.
You crash. It's tough. It's tough. What we do is very satisfying. I mean, for me, it was like a vehicle of healing in many ways to get the love from the fans from all over the world. That love that I never really had growing up, or thought that I never really had growing up, because it's all in the head,
Of
obviously.
course. Yeah.
So there are pros and cons to what we do. Yes, you get really high and then you crash because you're on your own again and you're with your thoughts and with those problems again and how to navigate that. And then on to the next show, how you're going to put on your face again and give you 100% out there. I had to struggle for at least 10 years with that. Um,
And what was the turning point? What was the tipping point where you were like,
time,
yeah.
time. But it took more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's kind of the opposite where I've at the beginning of my career and turning into like having a career in this industry, it was fine. And then it it seemed now where I'm at now, I seem to question more and more and more of myself. And it's more of a struggle to kind of get through to like enjoying it, if that makes sense. I find it really hard sometimes to actually enjoy what we do, purely because I'm so in my head about it.
I feel you. I feel you. And again, if any consolation, it does pass. Could come back again, but it will pass.
100%. 100%. We've just done an hour. I really want to go on for longer, but I feel like that's time for another time. And when this book's out, I'd love to get into it with you and have another conversation for the people. Nicole,
Thank
you've
you.
been
Thanks for
amazing.
having me.
You've been amazing over the years of what you've done for the industry and what you carry on doing. Thank you for asking me to remix your record a few years ago. I'm so happy that I got to
That
remix
was
one of your
one of the
records.
best. I have to say thank you. We should do it again.
Let's
Yes.
do it. Let's do it. And yeah, just thank you for coming on and thank you for just doing everything you do for the industry. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you. It means a lot. Thanks a lot, babes.
Big love. Keep safe.
Ciao.
And that's a wrap. Huge love to Nicole for coming on. I love that episode. Thanks to all of you for listening. Please share, please like, please subscribe. Please tell everyone about this podcast. Keep safe. Till next time.